Alright guys, so today we're gonna get into nihilism. We're also gonna talk about the advantage of incorporating nihilism in your own life. Stay tuned, this is gonna be a good one. You know how people are saying philosophy is sometimes impractical? But in my experience, a lot of the philosophy helped my life tremendously, right? Even nihilism. But first, let's get into the definition of it. What is nihilism? It's the rejection of religious and moral principle, the belief that life is meaningless. So I believe I myself can fit into that description. At this stage of my life, I'm pretty sure that God and religion are false. And I'm not gonna get into that topic today. That's for a separate video. Moral principle, to me, is a social construct. I don't really like buy into that either. Also, to believe that life is meaningless, in a sense, that is true. I do believe life is inherently meaningless. It doesn't have any inherent meaning, but it is also pretty meaningful if you zoom in. Life is inherently meaningless, but that is only if you zoom out 100 times. What do I mean by that? I'll give you an example. Let's say if you go to space and you see the earth for what it really is. It's really just a tiny little blue beam in like this vast universe, right? I'll give you an example. There's this astronaut, his name was Ron Garand. He spent like 178 days in space. He said that we're living in a lie. This is what they call overview effect. So when you see how fragile this planet you call Earth it actually is in the universe, right? How everything you believe, everything you adopt is on this tiny little planet. You start to realize how it just is nothing compared to the rest of the universe. Like, you never view the planet this way. You never view anything this way. But all of a sudden, you're in the space, you see how Earth really is just a small planet in the infinite universe. So that is why he said the thing he said, we're living in a lie. And that is true to an extent, right? But also, you got to realize, when you say that, you zoom yourself out, you're looking at life through a different lens. You're literally viewing from, let's say, God's perspective. You can zoom in like 1,000 times right now. Like, I'm sitting at this table right here. I can see the ends. Well, there's no ends. There's, what is this table that I'm sitting at made out of? I could really just focus on the present, and I could just observe this tree right here. Like, that's me zooming in, right? When you zoom in, let's say I'm eating a pizza. Like, this pizza is so good, this is all I care about right now. And at that point, I don't need meaning, right? Who cares about meaning if I have a pizza right in front of me? That's what I mean by zooming in. Well, you might ask, what does that have to do with the practicality of utilizing that principle? I'll tell you right now. You have to realize it's a fundamental truth that life, from a very grand perspective, is meaningless. Like, that's just something that people doesn't want to accept, because it's kind of like a spiritual death, right? It's kind of like spiritual suicide. Well, shit, life is meaningless. Then what the fuck am I doing here? I might as well just stop living my life. That's the wrong way to view it. You know why a lot of astronauts, when they went to space and when they came back, they just went nuts? Well, not necessarily psychologically nuts, but they just never the same. They sold their houses. They stopped caring about materialistic stuff, which isn't healthy, right? You don't want to live a good life. You have to care somewhat about, the materialistic stuff. Nihilism, in a way, is bad, because you stop caring about the things. You stop caring about this pizza that's right in front of you. It becomes tasteless. You stop caring about your wife, your house, everything, because you've seen the earth for how it really is. The way I see it is completely different. I realized this a while ago, life is meaningless. But at the same time, it doesn't get me depressed when I think about it. It's actually music to my ear. You know why? Because since life is meaningless, you could literally just that makes you free in a way. Like, it takes out the fear element in your life. Like, you don't really have to care anymore at this point, if you truly understood what it means. I'll give you some concrete example here, right? You can use that for emotional control. right? Emotional management. For example, if yesterday I was mad at somebody, right, for flaking on me, and at the moment I was pissed, right? And then all of a sudden I realized life is meaningless. This picture of this tiny little planet in the universe just pops in my head, right? So all of a sudden I realize, what am I so mad about? That's when you zoom out. That's what I'm talking about. When you're upset at somebody, or you had a bad day at work, that's when you should zoom out, right? It might not be so easy for you guys to incorporate in your life, but it takes practice. I think I'm not that good at what I'm talking about either, but it's definitely a good way, in my opinion, is to use nihilism to your advantage. Just when you're mad or when you're sad, it's just zoom out. I don't think other species can do that, but we human, we're special. We have like frontal cortex, right? We are able to see the future and the past. So when you're mad at this moment, you could change to a different lens. You think about how meaningless life is at the moment where you're mad, and then all of a sudden there's a smile on your face. That's how you utilize it. People don't view nihilism this way. Most people think nihilism is just some depressive philosophical ideal. I don't view it that way. I think there's pros and cons to everything. Nihilism is a double-edged sword. You can use it to your advantage for sure, and it could also be your downfall if you just like use it the wrong way. Just start taking advantage of this principle and really just like enjoy whatever is you're doing. If you want to enjoy something, right? For example, you have a pizza, play a video game, when you're having sex, when you're taking a shit, right? That's when you zoom in, so you can enjoy in this present moment. Because when you're fully in the present, your enjoyment just rises to the max, right? But when you zoom out, when you stop being in the present, you think about the future. And that's when you start thinking about meaning. What's the meaning of this? What's the meaning of that? That's when you're not in the present, which is good in some time. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you should just be present all the time. There's different scenario where you should incorporate these different lenses, right? Sometimes you should stay in the present 100%. Sometimes you have to do some planning. You can't just stay in present the whole time. Like, you're not a fucking monk, right? You can't just meditate your whole life. You have to think about the future at some point. And at some point, when you're upset, you should zoom out and think about the universe. Think about how tiny your problem is. Think about how your problem just isn't it shouldn't be something that bothers you. That's when you should zoom out. You get what I'm saying? Hopefully you guys got something out of this video. Me, myself, I'm trying my best to incorporate this in my own life as well. I don't think anybody online has said it this way, has put it this way. They might have put stuff similar to this. I know Alec Hormozi has, right? He talked about how, 100 years, 200 years, everybody's gonna die. Nobody's gonna remember you. You might as well go all in. See you next time.